Imagine sitting at a table, smiling politely, while someone across from you mocks you in a language they believe is their secret code. That's what happened to me the night I met my son's fiancée. She thought her polished French would hide her cruelty, but what she didn't know was that French had once been my secret too, and that one mistake changed everything. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Margaret, and I've lived a long, full life. I've known joy, sorrow, and more surprises than I can count. But the greatest blessing of my life has always been my son, Thomas. After losing his father when he was young, it was just the two of us for many years. I gave him everything I had, and he grew into a man who carried kindness, determination, and a good heart wherever he went. So when Thomas called one evening, his voice full of excitement, I could already guess the news. "Mom," he said, "there's someone I want you to meet. Her name is Claire, and she's the one." My heart swelled. Every mother dreams of seeing her child find love, the kind that can weather life's storms. Of course, I agreed at once when he invited me to dinner that Saturday at his home. Now, there's something Thomas didn't think much about. Long before I was simply Mom, I had been a teacher of French literature. I'd even lived in Paris for a time, teaching and studying, until life brought me back home. I spoke the language fluently and cherished it through books and songs over the years. But Thomas never shared my passion, and I suppose he had long forgotten how deeply I knew the language. That forgotten piece of my past would soon reveal a truth my son desperately needed to see. I arrived that Saturday evening carrying a warm apple pie, the same one Thomas loved as a boy. Claire opened the door to greet me. She was striking, I'll give her that. Tall, graceful, with flawless hair and a dress that looked like it belonged on a runway. Her smile was polite but not warm. Her words were kind enough, but her eyes, well, they told a different story. The dining table was set beautifully. Candles glowed against crystal glasses, and a bouquet of fresh flowers made the room smell sweet. The roast chicken Thomas had prepared filled the air with a comforting aroma. At first, the evening went smoothly. Claire told stories of her travels, her career in design, her ambitions. She carried herself with confidence, and Thomas looked at her with shining eyes. But slowly I noticed cracks in the picture. A sharp correction when Thomas mispronounced the name of the wine. A laugh that lingered too long when he reached for extra bread. Little things, easy for a stranger to miss, but a mother notices. And then the moment came. As I reached for the salad bowl, Claire leaned slightly toward Thomas and whispered in French, "Regarde-la comme elle est vieille. Elle est perdue à table," which means, "Look at her, how old she is. She looks so lost at the table." My hand froze on the bowl. She believed her words were hidden behind a foreign tongue, but I understood them. Every cruel syllable. I did not react. I smiled as if I hadn't heard a thing and passed the salad along. But inside, my heart ached, not for myself, but for Thomas. Did he know the woman he loved could be so unkind? Dinner carried on, but the night was far from over. The longer the evening went, the bolder Claire became. Each time Thomas left the room, another remark slipped out in French. "Ses vêtements sont si simples." Her clothes are so plain. Elle parle lentement. C'est fatigant. She speaks so slowly. It's tiring. Each word revealed more about her than about me. Vanity, pride, disdain. I stayed quiet, patient. I've learned in my years that silence can be the sharpest tool. But I also knew I couldn't let the evening end in falsehood. My son needed to see the truth. At last, dessert arrived, my apple pie, golden and fragrant. I set down my fork, folded my hands, and looked directly at Claire. Then, in perfect French, I said, "Tu sais, Claire, je comprends chaque mot que tu dis depuis le début de ce dîner." Her face drained of color. Thomas blinked, startled, looking from her to me. I continued, now in English, so he could understand. "You know, Claire, I've understood every word you've said since the beginning of this dinner." The silence that followed was heavy. Thomas asked, his voice unsteady, What did she say?" Claire stammered, It was nothing, just a little joke." But I shook my head gently. No, they were not jokes. They were words meant to belittle me. The truth now sat squarely on the table, as plain as the pie between us. Thomas lowered his eyes, his face clouded with disappointment. Claire shifted in her chair, her polished charm slipping like a mask in the rain. "Thomas," she said quickly, "please, you must understand, it wasn't serious. Everyone jokes about in-laws. It's cultural humor." But her excuses rang hollow. Thomas's voice was calm, but it carried a weight I had never heard before. "There's a difference between humor and cruelty, Claire. Tonight, you showed me that difference." She fumbled, trying to laugh, but no sound came. At last, she stood up, her heels striking the floor sharply. "I think I should go," she muttered, gathering her purse. Within moments, the door shut behind her, leaving silence in her place. The candles flickered softly, the apple pie untouched. Thomas leaned back in his chair, his hands covering his face. "Mom," he whispered, "I don't even know what to say." I reached across the table and held his hand. "You don't need to say anything right now. Just remember this. Love without respect is like a house built on sand. It may look beautiful, but it cannot stand." In the weeks that followed, Thomas struggled. He called me often, his voice filled with questions and doubt. "Maybe she didn't mean it," he would say. "Maybe she was nervous. Maybe I overreacted." But hearts know the truth, even when minds try to argue. I never told him what to do. Instead, I reminded him gently, "Respect is not optional, Thomas, and kindness is not something you hide." At last, one quiet Sunday afternoon, he came to visit. His eyes were tired, but his voice was firm. "Mom," he said, "I ended it with Claire. I realized if she could speak that way about you on the very first night, what would the years ahead look like?" I hugged him tightly, proud of his strength, even as my heart ached for his pain. Love is precious, but it must be honest, or it is nothing more than a mask. Months have passed since then. Thomas is healing, laughing again, and pouring his energy into his work and friendships. And me? I return to my books, my roses, and the quiet joy of my apple pies. But sometimes, when I sit with a cup of tea, I think of that dinner. I think of how a language I once studied in Paris, a part of me long tucked away, came back when it was most needed, to protect the future of the person I loved most. And here's the truth. Life never wastes our lessons. Even the skills, the words, the memories we think belong only to the past, they often return at the perfect time. And when they do, they remind us that nothing we learn, no kindness we show, and no strength we carry is ever truly lost. And so, that is the story of the dinner that revealed more than words on a plate ever could. Claire believed her whispers were safe, hidden in French, but the truth has a way of finding ears that understand. If there's one lesson I want you to take from this, it's simple. Respect is the foundation of love. Without it, no amount of beauty, charm, or success can hold a relationship together. My son's heart was spared years of sorrow because the truth revealed itself that night. And for that, I am deeply thankful. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched your heart, share it with someone who might need the reminder that kindness and honesty always shine through in time. And if you enjoy stories of family, choices, and the quiet strength that shapes our lives, stay close, because there are many more tales still to come. Until next time, take care of your loved ones and never underestimate the power of a mother's watchful heart.